Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bold Take Scouting Podcast. As you can see, today I'm not joined by my usual co-founder of Bold Take Scouting, Alex Greb, as he currently has a review session for an important exam. And I just want to touch base with you guys about our schedule these days. We've been really busy with school this semester, so haven't been able to dive into the college football tape of certain draft prospects yet. But we're a few weeks away from being able to do that as winter break approaches. And then we'll be able to shift gears from these hot topics episodes to more draft focused episodes as we really start analyzing the tape of these players and start putting together some rankings and scouting reports for the 2022 NFL draft, so which we're really excited to be able to get into. I think right now, you probably find it most interesting to have these hot topics episodes as we go around some of the best things to talk about in the NFL and college football worlds. And I'm sure that as the turn of the year approaches, we're going to want to get into the NFL draft. So it'll probably be good timing that we'll be able to start doing that in a few weeks. But as for now, I'll be bringing you another episode of Hot Topics today as Bold Take Scouting. And the first is really what's been on my mind constantly these past couple of days is Mac Jones' performance against the Cleveland Browns. I got to watch his performance, and it was wow. I was floored by how well he played, and I think it was the best game yet of a rookie season that has been extremely, extremely promising for him. He was 19 for 23 with 198 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and he played pretty much as clean of a football game as you can from the quarterback position. He processed the field extremely well, which is so impressive for such a young quarterback. We definitely are not seeing other rookie quarterbacks be able to process the field like Mac Jones, and he consistently was finding the open receiver and was very accurate on top of that. And we even saw some throws where the receiver was covered and sometimes even double covered, like on the Kendrick Bourne touchdown, and he perfectly place the ball. And that touchdown throw was one of the best throws I've seen by any quarterback this year, where he just into double coverage, put it in the only place that Bourne could come down with it. It was a great catch too, but that went to show just how remarkably accurate Mac Jones has become as a quarterback. And even beyond being able to process the field extremely well and being able to deliver the ball really accurately, what he won with on Sunday was his ability to manipulate defenses. Frequently throughout the game, Jones would use his eye movement during the play to move defenders off his intended target and deceive them in that way. I know there was that touchdown to Hunter Henry where it was evident that he did that. He looked one way to get the safety to move towards the middle of the end zone, and then immediately went back to Henry in the corner of the end zone. And it's so incredibly impressive to see a rookie quarterback be able to make those plays, especially as we see some of the other rookie quarterbacks struggling this season, whereas the other rookie quarterbacks can't even really read the field yet and deliver accurately. Not only can Mac Jones do that, but he can also manipulate these veteran defensive backs by getting them off his target. So it's not even just that his receivers are getting open and he's finding them really well. He's actually getting them open himself with his manipulation of defensive backs. And it's really rare to see a rookie quarterback be able to do that. And right now, I think we're seeing the ascension of Mac Jones to the point where he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. I know that Ja'Marr Chase is having a fantastic year and he's also fully deserving, but it seems to be that whenever there's a wide receiver or any other non-quarterback in contention with a quarterback that's also potentially deserving, it goes to the quarterback. Last year, we saw Justin Jefferson break the record for rookie receiving yards, and Justin Herbert won the award because he also had a really good season, even though you can argue that, taking quarterback bias aside, Justin Jefferson might have been even more deserving. We might be in a similar situation this year with Ja'Marr Chase and Mac Jones, but if Mac Jones plays like this, it wouldn't even be a slight to Ja'Marr Chase, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, if it's close at all, I think it'll end up going to Mac Jones, which is really, really surprising if you look at it from our preseason perspective. And most people had Mac Jones as the quarterback 5 in this draft class, myself included. And so what I find fascinating about this is really to reconsider my outlook at the quarterback position and see why I got this wrong. And part of it is that Mac Jones is quite simply a much better player than he was in at Alabama. I think his accuracy has really improved. People painted him as a really accurate quarterback because of his high completion percentage. But it was pretty frequent to me that the ball placement was off and he made his receivers adjust. And I thought that in the NFL game where you have tighter passing windows, those types of throws would not work. And we've seen him really clean up his game in terms of accuracy. His ball placement is on point and he's not making his receivers adjust like that. So that was something that, looking back, it's kind of hard for me to be able to say you should have just assumed that he was going to get better. I think that you have to really take accuracy and ball placement into account at a really high degree. But what I think that I should have considered more is just how incredibly smart he is. Even if he wasn't a really accurate quarterback in terms of ball placement, he was still a really good processor of the football field, and he consistently found the open man. And that really shows this year that those are his highest qualities. And maybe what I knocked him too much for is his lack of arm strength and his lack of athleticism. Because when you have a quarterback who's really accurate, and obviously that developed more this year, but also really good at processing the football and at processing the football field and finding the open man, that can really overcome some athletic deficiencies. And he's also gotten a lot better at sensing pressure, at being able to step up in the pocket to avoid the incoming edge rusher. So I think that what I really should have trusted were all the reports that said that he was absolutely amazing teams with his football intelligence at the whiteboard. It's tough because we as amateur scouts have the tape and the tape only. We don't get to sit down with these prospects and cut cut open their brain and see what they're made of in terms of football intelligence and play recall and all that. But I definitely won't be taking that lightly in the future, and I'm going to make sure to stay open-minded to some of these pocket passers in an age where last 5 years we really weren't seeing any rookie quarterbacks with that lacked mobility succeed early in their careers. We saw a lot of these athletic, strong-armed guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and I thought that we were really moving off the point where rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks could succeed by being purely pocket passers, because it's such an advantage to be able to have the running ability that buys you time. You can learn through your mistakes if you're a good runner, because if you can't find the open man, even though he's there, because you don't know how to read the field well yet, you can still get out of the pocket and get that first down with your legs. But sometimes there's a guy as accurate and as smart as Mac Jones who doesn't need to do that. And I think that if I see all the traits that Mac Jones had, and honestly the ones that he has now, because I emphasize that a lot of his traits that make him successful right now, like his really good ball placement, his ability to sense pressure and climb the pocket, those really weren't evident on tape last year, which I think led to a lot of the mistakes that were made on his evaluation, mine included. But I definitely will be more open-minded to really pocket passers in the future, because it's definitely not a play style at the quarterback position that's dead, despite the recent trend that we've seen. And Mac Jones is definitely proving that. And then for the Patriots, it's absolutely amazing news. They only had 1 year between their greatest of all time quarterback Tom Brady and the next guy, and because they found that next guy already. I think Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback of the New England Patriots for the next 10-15 years, and he's going to be wildly successful in New England. And I hope that Bill Belichick will stay long enough for that to be able to come to fruition, because this is a team that, with that pairing of Bill Belichick and Mac Jones, could win a few Super Bowls in the next decade, or maybe one or two. And looking at this year, I think the AFC is wide open and the Patriots have a shot. We just saw them stomp on a Cleveland Browns team 45-7. And there's really no team in the AFC that you could confidently say would beat the Patriots right now. So it's going to be a really interesting AFC playoff picture. But it's evident that the Patriots went from a 2-4 team that we thought was probably going to end up missing the playoffs again to a team that's squarely in the mix to be the AFC team in the Super Bowl. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. And no doubt it's been in large part due to the ability of Mac Jones to step up and play at this level, which has been so impressive. And moving on to the next topic, the Rams losing to the 49ers 31-10 really made a lot of waves last night on Sunday Night Football, and it's been something that I've been thinking about because this is a team that we really thought was maybe the best in the NFL through the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season. They went all in with the trade for Von Miller and the acquisition of Odell Beckham Jr. We're seeing them pretty much put all their draft capital and salary cap available into these veteran players that won't be here in 3, 4 years, and they're all completely buying into this season. And it's surprising to see them lose 2 consecutive games, including losing this game to the 49ers, who were really struggling, and the whole team fell flat on their face. Matt Stafford really wasn't impressive. He had a pick that was just on the first drive. I really didn't understand what he was trying to do there. The defense was overrun, and I think that was the most surprising part, is to see guys even like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey that were other guy the 49ers offensive players were making plays on. That was really surprising in my opinion. And actually, what was just as surprising was Sean McVay's play calling and decision making. I thought that it was highly questionable, and a prime example of that is when right before halftime they had the opportunity to kick a field goal and bring it within a 2 possession game heading into the half, and they decided to do a fake field goal on 4th and 8, and they were still about 30 yards down the field, and there wasn't much time left anyway, even if they did get the conversion, which was 8 yards away. And it was a really, really odd decision. So at every level, the Rams were overrun, from Matt Stafford to the rest of the offense to the defense to Sean McVay coaching, and it was really surprising. But that being said, I think this is just a midseason slump from the Rams. I don't think it's the Rams flaming out. This is still a really good football team. Matt Stafford is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Sean McVay is still one of the top 3 coaches in the league, in my opinion. And I know that he came in early this morning, or actually yesterday morning, and definitely grinded that tape and really realized everything that they did wrong against the 49ers, so it doesn't happen again. I think the Rams are going to come out this week and they're going to win convincingly. And I really don't think that we're going to be seeing an extended slump from them. And I think it's probably similar with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who also have lost 2 straight. And so that this makes me rethink the playoff picture a little bit. I previously was saying that I think it's going to be a Bucks Rams NFC Championship game, and now I'm not too sure what my prediction is, but I would like to add the Green Bay Packers to the mix. You can't ignore how much this defense has improved from last year, and that was evident with a 17-0 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. So I'd say that 2 of the Packers, Buccaneers, and Rams will be in the NFC Championship game. That's my take right now. And I think that whoever gets the number 1 overall seed will be there. If the Packers lock up the number 1 seed, and as they right now they're sitting in that position, and they get to be the only team with a wild card bye, and then the playoffs are running through Lambeau and frigid temperatures in January, I think they're going to be in the championship game, and they have a solid chance of the Super Bowl. So it's going to be really big for them to try to get that 1 seed. But I think it's going to be 2 of those 3 teams that are going to end up in the NFC Championship game, and I don't think the Rams or the Bucks will be in this slump for an extensive amount of time. I still think of them as elite teams and clear Super Bowl contenders out of the NFC. And now for my college football insight of the week before I end this podcast. I think that Oregon could end up losing to Utah this week. It's not the hottest of takes, but Utah is a team that's borderline ranked at number 24 right now, and I've just seen Oregon play these Pac-12 teams that, quite frankly, aren't that good, way too close. It happened with Washington a couple weeks ago, and it happened this past weekend against Washington State again. Meanwhile, Utah has been pretty hot lately. They demolished a Stanford team that Oregon lost to, and I think it might be time that Oregon shows their true colors and loses another game. And maybe they'll prove me wrong. We'll see about that. But I don't think Oregon is a playoff team. I don't think they're deserving of being in the playoffs. And I think that if they were to lose this game, even if they win the Pac-12 championship game, they wouldn't be put in the playoffs as a 2-loss team coming out of the Pac-12. I think that's how the committee would view it. I already think that they're ranked too highly right now, and we'll see what happens against Utah. But at the very least, I think it's going to be a really close game, and I'm excited to see how that game unfolds and really how the rest of the college football season unfolds, because it's a tight race for playoff spots. And we saw Ohio State make a really convincing argument against Purdue. Purdue was being hyped up as these giant killers coming off wins against Iowa about a month ago, and then Michigan State. Both of those teams were ranked in the top 4 at the time, and Purdue beat them. And there was all this talk about whether or not Purdue could do it against Ohio State, and the answer was no. Ohio State absolutely stomped on them, and to me, Ohio State is a top 4 team in the country. I really like what they have at wide receiver. It's the best wide receiver core in the country. Jackson Smith-Njigba is coming on as a true sophomore and playing just as well as 2 potential first-round picks that are also in that wide receiver room, and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Wilson, who had a trio of touchdown catches on Saturday. And I just think that offense and that defense combined, just on both sides of the field, they're such a good team. I think that they're going to win out and be in the college football playoff, and maybe that they'll get a shot at Georgia in the championship game. But it's clear that it's going to be an exciting end to the college football season, and let's see how it unfolds. But keep your eye on that Utah Oregon game this week. And I think that concludes the Hot Topics episode today. As I said, really can't wait in about 3-4 weeks to be able to dive headfirst into the tape of all these college prospects. It's really the most exciting time of year, is that December through April stretch. And it's going to be fun to be able to get back to podcasts that are solely focused on the upcoming NFL draft. But in the meantime, I hope you guys are enjoying these Hot Topics episodes. And if there's anything that you want us to cover or talk about, definitely just shoot us a DM on really any of our platforms, and we'll get to it. We're always here to talk about whatever interests you guys or answer any questions you may have. And with that, I'll say so long and see you next week for another episode of the Bold Take Scouting Podcast.